Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome. We are your hosts, Josefa Kapadia and Jasper Rivers.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Get Paid for Your Pad. And today I am here with Lauren Kelley, all the way originally from Atlanta, right? Lauren, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, just north of Atlanta, but that's where I moved here from.
Awesome. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing super well. I'm very happy here in San Francisco. So it's like this kind of crazy, happy, good, consistent thing that this city breeds. So I'm good.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Why don't you start and give our listeners a background of yourself?
Cool. So I was born and raised in Roswell, Georgia, if we're going that far back. February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. I'm a big fan of knowing people's birthdays and where they started. Grew up dancing my whole life. Wanted to be an architect in the 4th grade and was part of a group called Peer Helpers. And I share that because I think both of those things are still quite relevant, maybe not in the exact way as they seem, but in many ways I'm still helping peers and I'm still an architect and kind of blueprint thinker. So went to University of Georgia in Athens. Go Dogs. Athens is awesome if you ever get the chance to visit. Worked with college students for about 4 years after that across the country and the world. Led a study abroad program in Greece. Was a nomad of sorts for the last several years, and realized that San Francisco resonates in a lot of ways with who I am, where I want to be, who I want to be surrounded by. And so, I recently booked an Airbnb as I was walking onto the plane in Atlanta, a one-way ticket, and many people and moments and present happenings since, I'm finding myself talking to you, Jasper.
Yeah, so me and Laura met at the Airbnb Open, and maybe you can fill us in on what happened after that. You took a one-way ticket to San Francisco, and you booked an Airbnb place. What happened after that?
I had looked at a couple different places because I decided to come out here. It was like just a couple days before Dreamforce, and I had heard and read about it, so I thought, well, if I'm really doing this, maybe I'll start there. I figured there'd be some good networking with the 150,000 people that were in town. And
just for who doesn't know, what's Dreamforce?
Dreamforce is Salesforce's large. I think they named themselves the largest innovation conference in the world, perhaps. And it's particularly, useful for people who use Salesforce, but even for someone who doesn't, I mean, they have incredible speakers. There are people from Al Gore to Mark Andreessen to one of my favorites was Eckhart Tolle. They just really bring an interesting, successful group of people to sort of talk about the here and now and where it's going. And also, a lot of the people who go tend to be interested in tech, obviously, and tech startups. And so that's where I thought, well, maybe I'll make some friends if I stay at a listing that is geared towards some techie, entrepreneur, startup-y people. And there were a few listings. The one that I ended up in, where I'm still talking with you from now, it took me like an hour, actually. This is kind of interesting, but it took a long time to get it to go through. I was walking on the plane and we were having all these issues from the phone, but I was like so determined. I don't know, is that kind of intuition thing we were talking about earlier, Jasper. I just knew. I was like, I have to do this. So I did. And Since then, some help was needed, and I'm essentially helping host as one of the main tenants, community manage, if you will, and just kind of be me and do me and help people connect. And it's been, I could have never imagined what it's turned into. So great experience.
So how long ago did you make this move?
Well, I realized for a few weeks I had been saying a month ago. So I think it's been almost 2 months now. It was October 14th. I flew out here also in time for the Treasure Island Music Festival, of course. So yeah, October, like 7 weeks or something, 8 weeks. I don't know. Time's a bit of a blur.
So just to summarize, you came down to San Francisco for the Salesforce conference because you figured it'd be a good place to meet some people, and they were advertising some Airbnb listings for attendants to stay at. Is that?
No, it was kind of my own connection. I really, backing up, maybe one important piece to mention is starting in July was when I had this catalyst moment of, I have to be in San Francisco now. What am I doing? And so that was when I began working and reaching out with, and then ended up actually being reached out to by Airbnb through a friend. And it was, anyway, that was when I sort of began thinking, I think it would be really amazing to work with Airbnb, which, I mean, I've been following them for years, but that was when it started to become more of a reality. So I actually was realizing through that process, whether it's Airbnb or what company I end up working with, or more than a company, community, I needed to be here. And then from that, I decided, the timing of, Dreamforce, Treasure Island, all that stuff was happening in the same week. And I thought, since I'm going to that, I should probably stay at an Airbnb that is geared towards like-minded people. And so there were listings that said, tech house, startup house, and that's where I ended up.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And then how did you make it to the Airbnb Open?
That's a good story. So one of the guys, JB, Jean-Baptiste Marchand d'Avier, he was staying in the Airbnb that I was, helping, and we became really good friends initially because I needed some extra work. I spoke a little French, I minored in it, and he and his business partner, Jonathan, with WP Rocket, as we would joke, they needed some help with some writing and communication. And so anyway, we became friends initially over me potentially freelance writing for them. And I did a couple little projects. One thing, which actually they're sponsoring, I think, the WordPress WordCamp in Brazil. But that really blossomed into a friendship. And JB's parents have a listing outside of Lyon in France. Beautiful home. I'll have to send you some of the pictures. I will go one day. But his mom, Monique Marchand d'Avier, she had a ticket to go to Open, and she couldn't be there. And JB didn't exactly, he would have liked to have gone, but he didn't really. They've been like super busy. They were only here for a few months and were insanely busy. And he also knew that and thought that I would be interested. And Rob, the guy that I'm working with, he didn't have a ticket. So it was through a guest, and now dear friend. He sent me an email last night, a goodbye email, and I started to cry. It's so nice what he said. But so it was through a fellow Airbnb guest / host.
Okay, well, that is an interesting story.
Yeah.
So how long have you been helping out with the hosting?
Well, what did I say? I've been here since October 14th, since like October 18th. I was supposed to stay with my best friend, just started a job down in Menlo Park, and I was going to crash with her for the first month. She and I have been nomads all over, and both wanted to be here. And so the plan, which is always funny how, plans and things tend to rarely end up exactly as expected. The plan was, okay, well, I'll go and stay with you down in Menlo Park and, figure it out. And yeah, so I didn't, because whatever that push was when I was walking onto the plane in Atlanta that told me you need to stay at Airbnb and start your story there, that ended up, that's where I started staying. And it was only after a matter of days that I was presented with this opportunity. So really kind of since I got here.
Okay, and how's it been going? Like, what do? You do the communication on the platform, you check in the guests. How does that work?
Well, so, as we as hosts realize there are many duties and many that you kind of don't even realize. I was thinking about this today, actually. I was like, I wonder if all the guys, like everyone knows what goes on behind the scenes. But we're still, we kind of have been figuring it out as we go. It's a bit of a startup mentality, actually. I, in the beginning, was like, maybe we should really lay this out in black and white, which we did a little bit of, but we share responsibilities, but I help do everything from, cleaning toilets, which when you're listening to Krista Tippett interview Seth Godin about the future, and it's like, well, this really isn't that bad. And it becomes sort of meditative and humbling. So I do everything from that to spending the whole day, which this doesn't feel like work at all to me. But like yesterday, I was at Golden Gate Park all day with my friend Martin from Serbia and Sarah, who just got here from Australia. And we went to the Lindy Hop lesson, which, remember Lorianne on the email, the host, like from that email chain we had, she's the one who originally told me about this. So we went and danced and then hung out at the park, saw this 6th Avenue skating avenue, whatever. So it's kind of all over the map. But I do think, in this situation, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of different ways that this can be done. And I hope to help people kind of figure out some of the lessons and best practices, at least that work for us.
So what are these best practices and lessons that have worked?
Well, like most things, communication is quite important. So I started just sending an email on Sunday nights with the week in review. We found, as much as we love calendars and people like to plan things, again, it's just life happens, and sometimes the little things can slip, or, you just have to figure out what works best, I guess, as far as the tool for people. But yeah, we started just doing this weekly email. So it was like every day, what's my schedule? Who's coming? What do we need to be done? What are some like kind of extracurricular things going on? And then we'll chat about it in person too, just to have another touch point. So yeah, communication is huge. I mean, I think with that, you can face just about any challenge. Without communication is when things get held in, or things get, they're not clarified, or assumptions are creeping in. And that's where, problems and sort of negativity can arise from. So we do weekly email. I have a calendar, obviously just to keep up with everything, which I'm super excited though about a lot of the new features they announced at Open. I think that will help. That's some of them. I'm sure more will come up as we talk, but that's the biggest thing that comes to mind.
So how many rooms are you guys renting out in the house?
We have the one that I'm in, there are 3 bedrooms, and we can be flexible with, how many people stay. There's on average like 2 beds per room. So you have a little roommate, and, it's funny. I was talking to Sarah, my current roommate, last night about this. It's like, sometimes that may sound a little weird, or people want their privacy or whatever, which is important. I mean, you do have to, have your times to relax and rejuvenate. But it really works for what we're doing, because it's also even just the way that the listing is online. And we also want to maybe add I think there's more that can be done, but it attracts a group, and the price is super low, so it attracts a group of people that are cool with a bit of a kind of a hostel feel, but more of a home sort of hostel,
So you guys really are looking for guests that are doing something entrepreneurial or are related to a startup or something in that sector, correct?
Yeah, ideally. Yes. I mean, it's I've been thinking about it a lot, just being here, and whether it's I continue being the one here or if I'm just helping whoever helps next. There's room for it to have this layer of home added to, your average sort of co-working space. So it's mostly all like startup entrepreneur people. But we don't discriminate, and there's all ages. I mean, definitely people from all over the world. We've had every continent represented, even just since I've been here, or even probably just in the last week or two.
That's great. Well, what I really like about this concept is that I've been an entrepreneur for a few years now, and I know how inspiring and how important it is to connect with like-minded people. And so what I like to do sometimes is just rent a house and invite a bunch of people who are doing similar things, and just stay with them for like a month or so, and kind of help each other out with the different things that we're working on, because everyone has areas of expertise, and having another entrepreneur giving you a perspective on what you're doing can be really, really, really inspiring and can really move you forward. So I really like the whole concept of the entrepreneurial house or the startup house, and especially using Airbnb for this purpose, I think is ideal.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I have a question for you about that, though, because I've kind of been thinking about that, and then also thinking about some of the challenges, though, with Airbnb and neighborhoods, in hopes of helping. When you do that, is it usually just those people you invite that come, or do you find yourself like, I don't know where you go, maybe you're in, a remote island or something on a remote island, but do you ever, like, are there, outsiders, if you will, or like neighbors that come over too?
Not really. What I usually do is I just rent a place on Airbnb, and then I invite all the people that that I think would enjoy doing such a thing, and then usually more people want to come than spaces are available. So it fills up pretty quickly typically.
Yeah, I would love to talk with you more about that. I find that super interesting. I love to bring people together, and to kind of like curate experience in that way, I think is cool. It's like, I feel like in some ways we're entering this 4D, it's like where we are right now in San Francisco kind of feels like the new Hollywood. And I've been thinking about how these people and we are sort of like new actors and directors and, casting directors almost. So it's really fun to think about that. The reason I asked you that question, though, is, and maybe this is more for what we're doing, where it's a little bit more of long-term stays versus what you described. But I really want to think more about, and this again is probably maybe an offline conversation that started, but okay, so we've got all these, like-minded, like you said, entrepreneur, a lot of times young people who people who have ambition and are driven and are doing really awesome things. But I can't help but look around, even right now. I'm looking at the window right now, looking around at all these houses. I've met some of the neighbors who have been here for 40 years. And I feel like there's got to be some sort of benefit. Like, maybe imagine you're a parent or like an older mentor. Like, I'm imagining, let's say my dad or, an older figure lives across the street. My dad would love to come over to this house and share some of his knowledge and experience and bounce off ideas and, offer even a different angle versus, maybe different age. And I don't know, I've just been thinking about that a lot, because it's like in some ways we feel like oh man, we've got to be careful, with neighbors, which you want to be respectful, but we've talked about inviting people over, and I think it could be cool, especially in the startup world, you can almost never have too many perspectives, to just continue to iterate and create new ideas.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned it, actually, because it reminds me of a project that a friend of mine is doing. It's called Pure House, the Pure House Project.
Okay.
It's on purehouse.org. And what he's doing a similar thing where he has this entrepreneurial startup house, but he's not just housing people. He also brings in people from outside the house to connect with the people that are staying in the house. That he organizes, like dinner parties, fitness, like health coaching. The house, like all the people that are involved, they have all sorts of connections throughout the city, and this is in New York. So, I'm really looking forward to actually staying at this house, because it just sounds like it will be such an inspiring experience. They have business resources, like communal spaces for work, co-mentorships, support from cool freelancing friends, and just reading from the website right now with the coaches, advisors, network of freelancers, etc., etc. So I just imagine showing up at the house and getting to know everybody, and then people will help me connect with other people in their network in New York, to help me move forward. So that's I think this is it's a great it's just a great idea, and I'm hoping to have the founder on the podcast actually soon. His name is Ryan Fix, so he did a really great job, and so this might be something that's interesting for you too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up and look at it now too, but I'm on my friend's computer who's Serbian, so the keyboard is like backwards. So that sounds really awesome. I would love to hear more about what he's doing and talk to him. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we'll keep in touch about that. But let's talk a little bit about your initial connection with Airbnb. What is it that attracted you to Airbnb so much?
Man, that's a good question. Well, I think there's a few phases if I really kind of visualize the timeline. A big thing is just my relationship with my dad. My whole life we've talked about, for as long as I can remember, solving problems. Like I remember him helping me with these mind benders I used to have to do with this like tag program in elementary school. Helping me. He never did my homework for me. Neither of my parents did. They were good about that. But anyway, we've always talked about business and big ideas, and so I've kind of followed it with him for years, and just totally every time I heard a new thing that was happening, especially most recently, in this last year or so, I felt like I was like, yes, of course, like it resonated a lot with things that patterns I see and things that I think about, and having traveled so much for work before. Ironically, I never used Airbnb because my company and the organizations that I worked with, they booked the travel, and it just wasn't quite there yet. But I am excited to see, there's a lot more. There's like business bookings now. Anyway, I had followed it, and ultimately, what it like kind of has boiled down to for me is preserving this human connectedness. I really feel like and really see and think that we are in a pivotal place in history. And, thinking about this division between artificial intelligence and human intelligence makes me think of one of my most favorite books. I don't know if you've ever read A Whole New Mind by Daniel Pink. I remember in the beginning, he asked 3 questions. It's like, think about your future. What you're doing, can a computer do it better? Can a computer do it faster? Can someone in India do it for you? And it's like, okay, well, think about if the answer is yes, then you might want to kind of rethink about what you want to do or who you want to be. And not that this is about me exactly. I'm saying me and I, but really thinking about all of us as humans, as crazy and maybe out there as that sounds, it matters. It matters so much. So yeah, it's really ultimately that like the human connectedness, but doing it in such an individual, one step at a time, one person at a time, authentic way that I just believe we need. And I mean, my God, if open wasn't enough to show what can happen when you have those like-minded people together, I don't know what is.
And you were talking about the Airbnb Open.
Yeah. I keep referring to it. I think it's kind of cool. I feel like it's already become a bit of the host jargon, everyone just knows. But yeah, the Airbnb, the most recent conference that was here in San Francisco.
And Lauren, you told me you're actually want to work at Airbnb. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I do in some ways already, but I do. I mean, yes, I do, as far as I can see. I don't know, again, coming back to what I said earlier with plans and, the way I'm a yoga meditation doer. And so I prefer to not cling to things. So it's that sort of art and science balance of fluidly and kind of in a dance sort of way going after something, but knowing when to let go. And so I mean, it was a catalyst to get me out here. That's 1,000,000%. I can't hide that. And I have applied and made a lot of friends. And, this experience that I'm having right now it's crazy. I think when I go home for Christmas, maybe I'll be able to see everything a little bit more clearly. But yeah, I would love to. And again, I think I already am in a lot of ways, and I believe I've been helping in a lot of ways. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is what, I was kind of sensing or feeling, and that's totally cool. But if there's a fit for both of us, great. If there's not, great. It should be what it should be. And so that's where I've just kind of been trying to practice this game of presence and just be authentic and trust in what that seed can grow into.
Awesome. So maybe next year at the Airbnb Open in Paris, you'll be wearing one of those Airbnb shirts that the employees wear.
Perhaps. C'est la vie, oui.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing you there again. And it's a quite a remarkable story, I think. And thank you so much for sharing it on this podcast. I think those entrepreneurial houses are really cool, and I would love to stay in some of them in the coming year. So maybe if I'm hopping by San Francisco, I will hit you up and see if I can stay there.
Absolutely. We'll welcome you in 7 different languages, and there's certainly the sense of belonging here at this startup home. So I appreciate you reaching out to me, and it was awesome to meet you guys too at our host dinner. So I know we'll keep in touch, and it sounds like even just after chatting, we have several things to follow up on. So I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Lauren. And then we have come to the end of this episode. As always, every Monday and Thursday there's another episode going live. And don't forget to check out our book. It's on Amazon in Kindle version and also paperback. And we also have all sorts of cool resources, a lot of free resources for you guys at getpaidforyourpad.com. You can get the free audiobook, you can get the free couple chapters of the book, and we also have tons of blog posts, and of course all the podcast episodes are at getpaidforyourpad.com/podcast. So with that, thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.